Hello guys, girls and everything else. This is another cargo pants video where I'm going to tell you what class should you play. That's the second video. Before we did all of the core classes and now we're doing the expanded classes from other books. And yeah, now let's start with investigator because this guy is the first one that they added after the core rulebook, you know. So yeah, investigator, because I assume that you watched what happened before. Inventor is like investigator is pretty much just like rogue, but it uses intelligence instead of that, and has a little less skills. Even though the investigator uses like the intelligence as its key ability score, so it will technically start off with more skills. But then it will just, it won't start with more skills than Rogue. It will start like with one less skill than Rogue, probably. That's at least what I assume. And well, but fear not, investigator, you have martial weapons. So let's look at the investigator, shall we? Investigator can clue in. As you can see, the abilities like this are usually for roleplay. You can see cases that, as you can see with all of this expensive stuff, it has exploration trait, aka all of the roleplay stuff, and that's pretty cool. You're playing like a you can play like a James Bond style character, you can play like a Sherlock Holmes style character. And before someone in the comments says, but James Bond and Sherlock Holmes are not the same. Sherlock Holmes is a detective. James Bond is a spy. I'm going to tell you as an example that you can play both a spy and a detective as an investigator. You're absolute idiot. So, yeah, most of people that just say I'm actually in the comments of people's videos usually are the ones that are usually the ones that are wrong. Oh yeah, now that I got all of the toxic parts of my fandom out, I mean technically I don't even have a fandom yet, but I may have in the future. Let's look in the future with a bright eye or something. How they say that. You have devised a strategy. Essentially, you do your attack roll, but instead of you instead of that stuff, instead of all of the weird stuff. But instead of like sorry for just like getting distracted a little. But you use intelligence instead of your strength for dexterity for that attack roll. And also get strategy strike that will allow you to deal additional weapon damage dice. Which is actually pretty cool. The fact that you can do this with martial weapons is also pretty cool. So yeah. Right now, with all the stuff, you basically know the gist of investigator. So essentially, just like rogue, but I don't know if I mentioned it. It gets skill increase every level, and also as I for sure mentioned that rogue gets skill fit every level, because I think I said that Rogue gets skill fit and skill increase on every level, but I'm not sure if I mentioned the skill increase. You get skillful lesson. So every odd level, you get a skillful lesson. It's essentially the same, you know. The same as skill fit, but it only allows you to pick skill fits that are associated with mental statistics, aka intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And if you ask what is the difference between intelligence and wisdom, intelligence is your memory, aka how much you remember, and wisdom is essentially how much you can figure out, you know. Your logical thinking, your thinking that, your thinking, your instinct, and all of the stuff like that, your will, is all wisdom, and intelligence is all your memories. So yeah, I mean, okay, intelligence is technical knowledge, and wisdom is practical. So yeah, I got the gist of the investigator. That's pretty much all there is, except methodologies. I have alchemical sciences to essentially play a bootleg alchemist. Empiricism, that essentially makes you even better at roleplay stuff. If you mean like searching, being a detective, and stuff like that, and spying on people. Forensic medicine, and again, you're more of a doctor. You're more of a doctor that also has a lot of like technical knowledge, in addition to practical knowledge. And interrogation, which is essentially literally just like interrogating people. So we can do even more in terms of roleplay. So next one we get is Oracle. Hey, you skipped over magus. No, I didn't. You know, I'm going to explain to you. So as you can see over here, it is APG, aka Advanced Player's Guide. The first thing that came out. Over here is Guns and Gears. And over here you have DA, which is Dark Archive. So the first one that came out is 100% APG. Then I think that it's Secrets of Magic, and after Secrets of Magic there was Guns and Gears, but I might be wrong about Guns and Gears and Secrets of Magic, because I joined the community about the same, because I joined the community rather like later into the development of Pathfinder, that I absolutely loved it. And you know, Dark Archive was released pretty recently. So yeah. I'm going to go over it like that. So oracles are basically like sorcerers, but are tied to divine tradition, you know? And that's pretty much cool, you know? Like, just like sorcerers, they have their focus spells. But there are also a mix of clerics, because, you know, they're stuck in divine stuff. How will I speak Cosmos? And now, you get to pick like a cleric domain, but depending on your mystery, have to choose one between two. Let's pick darkness over here because we want, for example, a stealthy guy. And now we get focus spells. And as you can see, we start off with pretty much two focus spells and 2 focus points. You choose your mystery and stuff like that, see, domain spell. Ocular course. See how long this is. Yeah, that's why not many people play Oracle because it's the hardest class. And you know, you start off with 2 focus points, but you can regain 1 focus point, which is the problem that most players face. So, yeah, Oracle. If every Oracle is pretty much the single-handed reason why people think that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is complicated. Because, see, for Fighter, you just hit hard. For Ranger, pick one enemy and hit the enemy hard. For Barbarian, activate your rage at the right time and then get a bunch of buffs. Even for like a sorcerer, just cast spells, and if you cast your special spell, you get a little bonus. But over here, it's kind of like cast spells, but if you cast your special spell, aka over here Cloak of Shadow and Spray of Stars, then you increase your cares, which gives you a minor debuff. But then if you cast that once again, then you get a little buff, and your debuff becomes even worse, and you get in turn a little buff, and then you get another even bigger debuff and another buff at the third one. And whenever you refocus to regain focus points, you lower your cares by 1 stage. And you know, if this is your scourge, if you go like for first, you don't really have a curse at the start, but then stage 1 you do have a curse, and then your curse becomes more of a trade-off at stage 2, and then at stage 3 it just turns you into living chaos. For example, if you pick the fire one, then you become blind, and also like you become like blind and also burn without taking damage of burn, but you can't see anything because you're turned into a cloud of fire magic shakalaka. Yeah, that's pretty much how it feels to play an Oracle. I chose Cosmos because Cosmos is the least weird one, because right now the more you have is okay, you can jump high. The higher your curse is, the less gravity works on you. And you know, gravity is kind of complicated, but it's the easiest one, even though gravity is complicated. So the higher your curse is, the easier you are to push, you know, because gravity doesn't really work on you. But also you can jump easier, you know? Yeah, without keeping track, that is pretty simple. But as you can see, that is not one. We literally have time. We're also working, except just with gravity, we're working with time. That is other abstract concept that will probably just like that will turn you into the flesh while making you a clockwork turtle man at the same time. So yeah, don't play Oracle unless you're really over here, because ancestors say not only that, but you have a random benefit that gives you that. And over here you have like you need to pick you get to pick one of the 3 by rolling a d4, and then you have stuff that you have applied to it, and you literally just being an Oracle is just having an existential crisis the whole time. Over here you literally set psychological over here, so you know that it will be properly weird. And yes, it is. Not only you have to pick one, and after you pick that one, you have two things to choose, and also that curse we think. Over here you have an existential crisis about your Polish heritage. I'm Polish, I'm allowed to make this joke. Over here you just die, everything burns, your whole reality burns once again. Over here you have a PTSD, war veteran PTSD. Over here you start, you watch some, I don't know, like you played Resident Evil and now you realize that Miss Dimitrescu is like a hot vampire lady, but you think that, wait, vampires are undead, and you have an existential crisis, but wondering if you're into corpses and stuff like that. With Cosmos, laser gravity starts just not working around you for some reason. Flames. Your over here, your reality is not even burnt at this point. Here, your entire life just burns. Everything burns over here. Over here, you just like have an existential crisis over your like life overall. So you're alive, and over here you have overload of information. You literally just your mind breaks from overload of information with tempests, just like electricity. Did you know that everything over here is made of electricity? You know, the very, your brain functions based on electrical impulses, and all of the atoms in the universe are held together with electrons, which, you know, from the very name you can realize that they're electric charge in time. Yeah. Time. Time stops working around you. Yeah. No, Cosmos is the only one that doesn't want to, doesn't want to make me die. I'm playing this, so darkness. So yeah. Oh yeah. Also, as an oracle, you're one of not really many spellcasters that has armor. So yeah, you have light armor. Good job. But was it worth giving yourself that PTSD? Just being a little bit more tanky sorcerer that has less spell slots and absolutely destroys and absolutely like has no idea what you're doing while playing. Okay, now after Oracle, we have Swashbuckler. Another roguelike guy. Pretty much the same thing as Investigator, but instead of that, you focus on dexterity and do stuff like acrobatics. If you use like acrobatic stuff, you get panache. You have panache? Good. You get a bunch of little bonuses. You get a bunch of little bonuses over here. You see. Over here, this thing is not important. That just explains to you, okay, you need to contact your GM and stuff like that. And here are essentially the bonuses you get. And yeah, you can use that thing that is called finisher to just use up your panache and deal extra damage. Feel good? Yeah. And that's just not really only acrobatic stuff, you know? You can, for example, do this and like dance. If you're doing performance, then you gain panache, and you get a little bit, and you get a little bit of a boost. The same thing over here, but essentially right now you're scaring enemies. Over here, you're doing diversions and stuff like that with deception. Over here, you're just pushing your enemies, and over here, you're doing like all of the, I don't know, like you know, you're literally just a witty person and just use that to get your finishers. Oh yeah, pretty cool. That's pretty cool. If you want weapons, I recommend that the best weapon probably that you can get is weapons that you have. Just get a finesse weapon. Just get any finesse weapon pretty much. You can get. See, most of them they have like d6 of damage. And this is just reserved for monks. So yeah, pretty much you can get any of these. that I recommend that you get like one of these that deal the 8s. See? One of these and then you use a buckler also. Or you can like pick 2 weapons and get like the double weapon guide education. But you know, you should probably take a dueling spear or that one, maybe. Not I think that you know, spike chain is the best one. You can use it to just trip enemies. You can trip enemies with it. You have training with it. And trip and disarm enemies with it. And this finesse, so you can do finishers with it. You can trip enemies with it, so yeah, finesse, so you can do finishers with it and use dexterity instead of that, and that's pretty much the best pick you can have. And for armor, then I will probably tell you that you should pick leather armor. But you know, do whatever you want. Over here you can pretty much choose, I think, like leather armor will be the best regardless, but if you're picking gymnast, then for sure pick like the spike chain. And if you're not picking that, do either spike chain or dueling spear will be good, but hey, you can even work with rapier. Most of your damage output should come from, you know, your finishers. And your finishers still like deal d6s of damage. So yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. After going through the stress and PTSD of my first Oracle game, now I feel really at ease by doing everything else that is not related to Oracle. Oh yeah, also I forgot to tell you. Yeah, you have all of the stuff, you have martial weapons, you have light armor. All of these skills like this, expert in perception and good health. So yeah, also we have witch. See, when you look at it, you can see, wow, that's literally just wizard but with more weapons. And you would be correct, pretty much. Except with which you're not stuck with arcane stuff. You know? Most of your spells will be probably occult, you know. See this, curse, fate, all occult. But you can choose fervor for divine stuff if you want. You know. Mosquito witch. If you wanna be primal. As again, I see like already like five of them are like. Oh yeah, also you can have arcane. So yeah, it works really similarly to like wizard with the works really similarly to the wizard with improved familiar attunement, but her familiar stuff is even more familiar like. And remember, you will not only have familiar that also has extra abilities for that just because you're a witch. But also you have like hexes and stuff like that. Spells. You already have a focus spell, aka not only face familiar, but you have spirit cantrip that is spirit object, aka it's, you know, a hex that you can cast on your enemy as a focus cantrip. And you can face familiar as pretty much everyone. And you know, spirit object is because you chose Baba Yaga, I think. If you chose curse, then you have evil eye instead of that. Yeah. So yeah, which is really similar to wizard, but has hexes that has improved familiar. But for first, it has improved familiar. It is more tied to its familiar instead of just having like all of the random stuff. And instead of bonded item, witches have like hexes and stuff like that. Also, they are different in terms of fit. Instead of just getting general spellcaster fit, that don't get me wrong, general spellcaster fits are good, but this one has lessons, like basic lesson that allows you to like learn extra, that allows you to like um, learn extra stuff. You get more stuff, and your familiar also learn. Your familiar is essentially like your spell book, aka your spells, and you yourself know curses, while your familiar learns all of the spells for you and allows you to cast them. Essentially, your familiar is from your patron, so yeah, that's essentially like a wizard, but instead of going to like a college or something, you went to a private school. Essentially. So it's not really far off, but it's a pretty fresh experience after playing a wizard. And yeah, after that, we get a magus. Yeah, you can enter like stuff like arcane cascade for one action if you use spell strike. What is spell strike? Well, you get a little thing that you can use one action. You can like use one action to recharge it and stuff like that. But use spell strike is essentially you mix a spell that has an attack roll into your weapon, and then you attack with that spell. Simple. You just mix a spell that has an attack roll with your weapon in, and that's all. Later you can like use expansive spell strike, which is a feat that I think everyone should have, which allows you to also make it with other spells. And I think that this is like pretty cool. And now, you have also conflict spells. You can either use one action to recharge your spell strike, or use your conflict spell. Which are your focus spells? Why don't you have focus spells? Because you need to fix. Take this. So basically, this one allows you to like pick a weapon. As you can see, great axe, great sword, or a polearm, unstoppable stuff. So yeah, any two-handed weapon pretty much will do the stuff. But I personally advocate for the halberd to be used. And also I advocate for like Paizo to add a poleaxe, which will be just a halberd but advanced. And it allows you to also deal bludgeoning damage. Laughing Shadow is essentially because this is literally just a mix of a martial class usually, and also a wizard. So indexable iron, yeah, that's basically a fighter with a wizard, like the most basic fighter most people want. Okay, I mean that's not really even a fighter. That's more of a barbarian. Yeah, more of a barbarian plus wizard. Laughing Shadow, rogue plus wizard, sparkling touch, a champion plus wizard, starry span, ranger plus wizard. Not really ranger. That can also be like a fighter with a bow. Or a but it's more because of the spell strike feature. It more seems to me like like a precision ranger. And twisting tree, that is essentially seems kind of like a mix of a monk and a mix of mix of both of a monk and a druid. Okay, I love it, and you can literally just spin your stuff. Yeah, that's very funny. And also, if you use your focus spells, aka conflux spells, what can you do? And yeah, you can use a spell strike then, because it refreshes your spell strike. You can just come to the enemy, spell strike the enemy with some sort of, I don't know, like a spell, then use then at the next turn just use your spinning stuff, and then already spell strike again. That's pretty cool. Magus is like pretty complicated because it's both, you need to both keep track of your spells and do the martial stuff, and also you have the mixing of the in spell strike and keeping track of whether or not it's loaded or not. But it's still better than Oracle. Better than Oracle. Way better than Oracle. I'm not saying that Oracle is a weak class, okay? I'm not saying that Oracle is a weak or bad class. I'm saying that Oracle is a scary class, you know? It's scary to play, really, really. Oh yeah, with Indoxinable Iron, I recommend that you pick Hellbard. With Laughing Shadow, I recommend that you probably like pick a rapier, short sword. Sparkling Touch, you probably want to pick like a shield with a shield boss on, or shield spikes, and then depending on whether or not you choose like shield boss or shield spikes, then probably just use like a long sword. Either choose a long sword or choose a long sword if you're not sure what you wanna pick. If you're just not sure, but you know, if you pick a shield boss, because I recommend you pick a shield boss, then pick a you know, then you should pick like a long sword. That's what I wanted to say. Start spawn, just pick a bow, literally just any bow, long bow, short bow. Pretty much any bow will work for that. And then Twisting Tree, just pick a staff, because you know it works with a staff. See? Staff. And for your defense and stuff like that, I highly recommend that you pick up either a breastplate if you're trying to dump dexterity, and most likely just if you're trying to dump dexterity, then always just go for sentinel feat, for sentinel dedication. If you're trying to dump dexterity on some character, then just go for sentinel feat to get heavy armor, because you need that bulwark for either full plate or helmet plate. Really want it. Or you know, if you're playing like rogue that has dexterity like a primary stuff thing, then let's be honest, for the dexterity stuff, you want to pick probably just leather armor, because you will start with like 12 in dexterity. Yeah. After Magus, you have Summoner. Summoner is pretty. Oh yeah. Also, don't know if I told you about the stats yet again. I forgot. Sorry. Strength of dexterity, average hit points, spirit perception, expert in fortitude and will. You get essentially like 3 skills plus int. Weapons up to martial, defense is up to medium. Yeah, that's it. And now with Summoner, you use Charisma for your spells. 10 hit points, which is a lot for a mage, you know, because most mages have like 8 maximum hit points. And you know, magus seems more like a frontliner. So what's the deal with that? And train in perception. You have expert in both fortitude and will, and skills depending on your eidolon. 3 plus like additional skills. Only simple weapons and and no armor. So yeah, I know how to do it. So here's this little thing called idol. If you summon it, you have it. That's your guy. And essentially your idol is like your minion, you know. Your idol does usually the attacking stuff, you do the spellcasting stuff. And just like Magus, you have very little like spell slots and spells learned. Because you're a sorcerer, then also spells learned are really minimal. But you know. Spell slots. I don't know. There are both hybrid clusters. And they're both in Secrets of Magic. So, right now, you as a summoner, you get evolution feat instead of like class feat, like most marshals do, because you're a spellcaster, so yeah. And this is essentially like all of the feats that your Eidolon get. The feats that your Eidolon gets, feats that change your idol. And what is your idol? Well, it's your minion once again. It can be an angel that has the divine spell list, and with both guys, you can either pick the first one, which is focused on strength, or the second one that is focused on dexterity. In both cases, it's pretty much the same thing. As one is focused on strength, one is on dexterity. Over here you have Angel, aka the healy type and stuff like that. You have the Anger Phantom, which is essentially like a very strong guy, maybe a spirit of that barbarian. Of course, occult spell list because it's paranormal and stuff like that. Beast Eidolon, Primal, because you know, Primal. It's essentially like animal companion from Ranger, but you know, it is a beast, so it can actually speak. Construct, yeah, literally what you hear. Arcane, of course, tradition, and it's a robot. Oh yeah, also the guy, when it's not summoned, sits on a plane that says... Over here it just sits on one of the heavenly planes. This guy is in the spirit world or something. This guy is somewhere on Earth and you just like randomly summon, just randomly teleport this guy. Over here, the guy is on astrals. The guy is on astral, aka space. So yeah, you literally just summon some sort of satellite from the sky. Demon, yeah, from the abyss. Yeah, of course divine list because it's related to religion, doesn't need to be like the good part of the religion. The important part is that it's religion. Devotion Phantom, occult. So yeah, if Anger Phantom was the like, you know, the strong guy that just beats stuff like that, Devotion Phantom is like the defending guy, you know, like, you know, Abel and Cain. So yeah, like Abel and Cain in SCP universe, and then yeah, Anger Phantom is just like, you know, Abel in SCP universe, and Cain is just like the Devotion Phantom. Of course, they're both occult because that stuff is weird even by the standards of the world where there's magic and just random gods default to dance across the material plane. Dragon. It's a dragon, of course. Arcane because dragons are arcane creatures. Fae. You know, all the fairies and stuff like that. Everything from the first world, aka Earth Beta, okay, you know, all of the elves, fairies, all the weird stuff that we will find in fairy tales, Death from Puss in Boots. Plant Eidolon, of course Primal. Of course Primal is, and yeah, it's just either a plant or a fungus. Probably a fungus, yeah. Intelligent plant from some descendants with embody the plant. They're mostly like lashes, so you know, every time you say like a plant, then usually it can also be a fungus. So yeah, you can just change the plant train to a fungus if you want, probably. If your DM allows it, of course. And Psychopomp Eidolon, which, you know, yeah, guy from Purgatory. And you know, this guy is the Purgatory guy. Pretty much, of course, divine spell list. Because religious stuff, Purgatory is the reverse stakes and stuff like that. And then that, of course, divine because dead people. And that stalker. Yeah, that's basically it. And the thing is that you both share actions. Yes, both of you guys have the same initiative, the same turn, and the same actions, yeah? Well, then I'm pretty limited. Not really, because you have an action exchange system that essentially allows you to get more actions and stuff like that. It sounds really complicated. I'm going to tell you. If you understood the Gravity Oracle, how it works, if you understood at least 5% of how Oracle works, then I'm pretty sure that this will be like really easy for you, you know? So, Act Together works like this. Okay, you all have 3 actions, but every time any of you does an activity, you can essentially, for example, use 1 action to move. Then also your Eidolon gets like a free gets to move, gets to like do a thing that costs 1 action without spending an action. You know? So essentially, yeah. While you do anything, like any amount of actions, for example, also if you cast a spell using 2 actions, your Eidolon once again can do a thing that costs 1 action. If you cast a spell using like 3 actions or something, or do anything that costs 3 actions, then your Eidolon during that can use 1 action, you know? Can use something that costs 1 action. Also, if your Eidolon does something that costs 1 action, during that you can do a thing that costs 1 action. If your Eidolon uses 2 actions, then you can do a thing that costs 1 action without using any actions. If your Eidolon does something that costs 3 actions, once again, you can do a thing that costs one action without using any actions. Yeah, pretty simple, yeah. When one of you does an activity, the other one does an activity that uses action. The other one can use an activity that costs 1 action without using any actions. That's pretty much it. Yeah, you have link spells that are basically your focus spells. You can boost Eidolon, this as a cantrip, so you can spam it, and Evolution Search. That essentially actually costs focus point because it's in focus spells, and focus cantrips are, you know, they're good stuff. And only at level 1 you get like Evolution Feat. That essentially is just like a feat, just like a class feat, but you can only use it for stuff that upgrades your Eidolon. Yeah. Okay, that's way simpler than the Oracle. Yeah, otherwise you're just like a source. you're just like a mix of like a sorcerer and either a ranger or a druid, you know? A mix of a sorcerer and a druid, for example. Like, no, more like a sorcerer and a fighter. You're a sorcerer, just with less spell slots, and in front of you there is a fighter, but just less accurate. Yeah. Well, then gunslinger. See, fortitude, reflex, expert in perception and stuff like that. And as you know, like fighter had with all proficiencies with all weapons, you know, even the advanced weapons. But fighter was the expert in all weapons, but trained in all of the like advanced weapons. Over here, the same thing, but instead of just all weapons, it's just firearms and crossbows, and you have a bit less HP, and you're forced into dexterity. Then why would you even pick that? Well, fighter has literally no feats that help you with crossbows and firearms. So yeah, gunslinger gets more feats that help you with crossbows and firearms, and also as a gunslinger's way. For example, drifter, gun with one hand, and then in the second hand you have a sword. Most likely this will be either a rapier, or at the second level you will pick a duelist dedication and pick like a dueling sword. Of course, like Lost Omens, Lost Omens version of the duelist dedication. Pistolero, aka the guy that uses can also use like skills, because you know with drifter you can like do stuff. You have the reloading strike, so you strike the enemy with a melee weapon while reloading. Over here you can use like skills while reloading, and most of people usually use it with two weapons for some reason. And sniper, you can just essentially hide yourself while reloading, you know, behind something. When you reload a weapon you cannot hide. Trigger bound. This is a new guy, you know. So I don't really know anything about this guy pretty much. And I don't know, so I need to pick this one. So yeah, you have your initial deed. Oh yeah, this one allows you to use the weapons that are combination weapons. So yeah, essentially like an axe musket. That is basically a musket that has an axe head attached to it. So we can hit with it like an axe. And there's Vanguard that essentially uses shotguns. And stuff like that. That's pretty simple, isn't it? This one uses shotguns and can use the clear the path thing, you know. So yeah, you can essentially just like shove an enemy or something. Use an some athletics check, and doing that you can reload. And also you get this for everyone. For example, over here you have bonus to AC on your first turn or something. And everyone has like this little bonus. See? This one. See, you can also draw weapon and stuff like that when you roll initiative for free action, and then 10 paces. You get initiative roll and step as a free action. And also you get to choose one skill that you will use for your reloading. Reloading that allows you to like use deception or intimidation during reloading. And with sniper, when you roll initiative, but only if you roll stealth for initiative, your first shot will deal extra precision damage. So yeah, that's essentially how it works. It's essentially a fighter that is more fragile, but has better ranged options. Gunslinger, and then there is Inventor. Inventor uses intelligence as its main ability. Software that trained in perception, expert in both fortitude and will, trained in crafting and 3+ intelligence skills, and has weapons up to martial and armor up to medium. Yeah, that's pretty simple. So essentially, you can explode an innovation you made, and this is where you pick your innovation overdrive, aka over here you just overdrive, aka boost your innovation, boost one thing that you made. You of course get shield block like a lot of stuff. You get also this little thing, which gives you a inventor skill fit for free, of course. And inventor just allows you to just do a lot of crafting formulas, and you get crafting essentially for free as an inventor. So yeah, at level like 1, you will already start training in crafting, but not many classes have this. But over here, when you look like level 19 and check, you're legendary in crafting. And you didn't even need to do anything, you just have crafting for free that will upgrade automatically to legendary. So yeah, innovation. You can have like an armor innovation, aka a better armor. Armor that will allow you to withstand more it allows you to like withstand more damage and stuff like that. You can build a construct which is like your little pet guy. Weapon, innovation, which is essentially just upgrading your weapon. But I'm going to so I'm going to go with all of them. So over here you need to find an inventor power suit. You can both wear this, and you can wear a heavy inventor power suit also. And yes, you still train in heavy power suit for some reason. Only in heavy power suit, or none other training armor. And you can have stuff like this metallic resistance and stuff like this, muscular exoskeleton, and you can like do this, accept this one, and over here, as you can see, right now, you do this and you have resistances to both cold and fire because you chose this. You can do like metallic resistance that will allow you instead of that for acid and electricity. It's better, but it doesn't really scale that much as the other ones. And you will have a lot of, across the level, you will have like 3 of these. We will have this for even more resistances, see? See, you will have a lot of resistances if you pick this one. If you pick instead of that a weapon innovation, you will still for some reason be trained in inventor power suit, but you won't be able to actually get it. You will only be able to like get a height or something. Oh yeah, and you will be just trained in inventor power suit, I think. And having inventor power suit, yeah, while you will be a master in the other one. So yeah, just it will be the same as being just an armored in heavy because you don't have that one. But you can get a sentinel dedication to wear the heavy one. And then just for weapon, other weapon, for example, I don't know. I don't know, let's just check the best weapon that ever existed, aka Halberd. Give this one to our boy. You can choose options, and yes, this is an invention. Thank you. You can do this. It's already, you know, versatile slashing. So yeah, you can get both shove right now and versatile bludgeoning. You can get like what? Manifold alloy for even more stuff. And you have extendable weapon. And you can get a lot of, instead of a lot of resistances, you will get a lot of traits on weapon. Because, you know, you can still give this. Oh yeah, wait, I already chose this. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff like this. More rune capacity. Instead of manifold alloy, you can, like, for example, choose a modular head, which will allow you to get modular stuff. But this isn't really optimal if you already have like this too. Okay, halberd. Now you have backstabber. You have you can have a lot of traits. That's my point with it. Okay, and with rune capacity, it will allow you to put on runes that will also give you even more traits. For example, I don't know, like holy maybe. Oh, okay. Let's give it frost. Okay, so frost. No, yeah, of course, I need to give it potency runes first before. If you have no frost, so you get cold conjuration and all of the stuff like that. Then you have even more. You have fearsome, which will give it even more traits. See, because you have grown capacity. Now it can hold like 4 runes instead of like 3. So you see, it gets crazy with amount of traits that you have. And that's pretty much what inventor does. And also, once again, you can just essentially turn it into a bomb. And you can essentially also not only turn it into a bomb, but also overdrive to make it even stronger. And with further levels, you will get all of stuff. Like, for example, offensive moves that will allow you to deal extra damage. For example, I don't know, Jolt for electricity, because I like electricity. Electric Hellbat would be like the coolest weapon in my opinion, you know? Like the coolest weapon to ever exist. Electric Hellbat, man. Yeah, actually. Whenever I was like a kid, I used to write comics. And one of the comics was literally just like called Electric Hellbat, man. That had like a jingle like this. Electric Hellbat, man. My name is Electric Hellbat, man. I love Electric Hellbat. Yeah, so go to Construct Innovation right now. As you can see, it's like half the amount of traits that it had before. Yes, delete this. And Construct Innovation. Now you can go to Pets, and now you have your construct. See? And stuff. You have all modification. You can increase the size of your construct. You can give it manual dexterity. For it to be able to do all of this stuff. Increase its size. Now flight chassis so it can even fly. See? Right now it went to medium size. From small size. Oh yeah, I did pet. Oh yeah, large size. Right now, because you have like the increased size, Then I don't know. You can get this, and now instead of that, it will be like medium size. I don't know, but because of this, you can like use the increased size, and it can be large size, and you can ride it, and it will fly and ride it. So you have like a flying body that you can have, like a personal helicopter. So yeah, you can give it a nickname like, I don't know, Glabo. Yeah. Also, this guy is just, as a joke, I made like example guy sound like a name, so I just changed it to a example gay. For it to be funny, yes. My sense of humor is unparalleled. Psychic, yeah, can use two abilities like marshals, which is intelligence or charisma. The rest of that, as you can see, is just sorcerer stuff. Yeah, you can pause it if you didn't watch the first part, but you should have watched the first part if you wanna know. Yeah, it's over here. Back to it. Spells. Oh yeah, I already said to level 20. But yeah, conscious mind, distant grasp, essentially all of the like telekinesis stuff. You know, telekinesis stuff allows you to do telekinesis stuff. This one is infinite eye, aka allowing you to spy on stuff, see through stuff. Oscillating wave, you control energy, aka like if you take energy, if you add energy to something, it becomes hotter. If you remove energy from it, it becomes colder. That's really a fun fact, you know. And now, ray of frost and produce flame. See, you remove energy from somewhere and you shoot ice because of it. You add energy, produce flame. Pretty scientifically accurate. Not counting the whole psychic thing, but you know, technically electrons and stuff like that. All of the electricity things, then you know, it's pretty accurate scientifically for a fantasy thing. Silent Whisper, you know, for telepathy. Tangible Dream for essentially like the thing, you know, tulpa. I don't know if you know tulpa things, but it's a little thing in Buddhism which you essentially can do, remember, like manifest the things from your mind to exist. That's essentially what tulpa is, and that's what exactly it. So yeah, Unbound Step. It's all of the like fast things, you know, and teleportation and stuff like that. But I think that distant grasp is pretty cool, or tangible dream also. And you can get into psyche, and you can get into being into the psychiatrics, into the psychiatrics, yeah, through emotional acceptance, aka therapy, therapy. Yes, emotional acceptance, or through the gathering knowledge. And if you do this, you can, you know, gain more health through it by therapy. Recall the teachings. You can remember you can remember information with that if you have like the subconscious mind, and also with emotional acceptance, you gain more charisma. Yes, if you emotionally accept yourself, aka are not an Andrew Tate fan, then you are then you will literally be more charismatic by just emotionally accepting yourself instead of just copying personalities of internet. Yes, I'll look at every one of you. I look at every one of you people who just copy their personalities off of internet characters. No, that isn't quirky. Just essentially copying a character's personality, regardless if it is this Wednesday or some, I don't know, like Sigma guy or Andrew Tate, then it's still equally lame. Recording the teachings, aka remembering the aka remembering like every page of like a game manual you read for some reason. Precise discipline. You can calculate traits, aka child abuse. I don't know. Yeah. Because I need to make like joke. Because I need to make edgy jokes. Yeah. For some reason I don't know. Like people would like me to be edgy at least. Like. So yeah, you can give yourself bonus to AC and reflex through that. And feign in daydreams, wandering relief, aka getting high. Yeah, this is also a fact that if you get high, your IRL charisma will become more higher. So yeah, either going to therapy or charisma, and you will be yeah. Essentially, all of the subconscious minds are essentially mental illnesses or something. I don't know. I need to make an edgy joke. So yeah, mental illness approved by me, some random autistic guy on the internet, you know. So, ah. I like the sound of precise discipline because it gives you bonus to AC and reflex. So I really like that, especially for someone as fragile as a psychic. And focus spells because of your, tangible dream thing. You get focus cantrips, and throughout all of the like your you get all of this stuff for like just randomly you get this stuff. But I don't know. At level 1 as you were, then you would just get 3 of these things. Imaginary weapon and just dancing lights. Dancing light and shield. Okay. So, you can also unleash Psyche. That gives you a bunch of cool stuff, um, which is also like related to your conscious mind. And now thaumaturge. Oh yeah, also I told you before that, and also psychics are looked into like the occult spellcasting, just like bards. And then thaumaturge, the last one, and probably the most versatile class. You get lore esoteric, okay, lore that is about anything weird, and you and your DM, as long as you have IRL charisma, and then your esoteric lore will be really cool. Because it is an actually lore that uses charisma for some reason. And you also start with training with all of the arcana, nature, occultism, and religion. Okay, all of the magic stuff. So yeah. And you get a bunch of. And you get esoteric lore. Your feats make you even more because you can get a bunch of scrolls You can use your like all of the stuff that you have through ammunition and stuff like that. You can get a familiar, you can get a lot of stuff. You can get a familiar even, which is really weird. But okay, because thaumaturge is not really a spellcaster. You can even give diverse lore. Yeah, and now your esoteric over here, now you don't need society, you don't need survival, you don't need medicine, you don't need anything. You can just use esoteric lore for for pretty much every check, including wisdom or intelligence. Yeah, for pretty much every recon check and stuff like that. So basically, instead of that, except for already getting the esoteric lore thing, you get exploit vulnerability, which essentially, I know this is long, but it's because it's versatile, not really complicated. So essentially, um, you can realize that I don't know. You can also exploit like vulnerabilities of enemies. For example, okay, this guy has hair. Hair is flammable. So I will essentially make this guy take this fire damage. I will deal with my sword, for example, for some reason. I will hit the enemy with fire damage into their hair, which will also set their hair on fire, which will into their head, which will also set their hair on fire, which will also essentially make it count as if enemy was weak to fire. Yeah. Also, you can use it on like, for example, enemies hit enemy with hit like I don't know, like hit enemy in the mouth with your like I don't know, halberd maybe, because I think that you have martial weapons. Yes. Oh yeah, forgot to tell basic stuff. Average charisma, average, expert in this. Fortitude, expert, of course, trainings. Yeah, you have martial and the medium armor. But yeah. You have you have that stuff figured out. So yeah, you can also, for example, realize that enemy has spit in their mouth that is technically a liquid that is mostly made of water, or maybe that the enemy's brain is made of water, and then hit them over the head with your thing, and you can like spin your weapon in specifically perfect way to just make a little electrical spark and deal electric damage instead of that, and trigger the water in your brain. So essentially, thaumaturge is the ultimate creativity. As long as you have creative explanation for what you wanna do and why it should work, then you can do this. Pretty much, if you mean exploit vulnerability. So for example, there's the evil lich. I think that we had this little thing. I showed this. Yes. Yeah, that's the literal thing that a thaumaturge can do. That's literally what a thaumaturge can do. In Pathfinder 2nd edition. Yeah. Funny, huh? Yeah, you can literally pull a shrimp out of your butt and start rubbing your sword with it, because you remember that a wraith that was allergic to like seafood when it was alive. Yeah. And you can literally defeat it with that. So yeah, that's essentially how it works. And also, not only that, you have exploit vulnerability that is super creative, you have this little thing that is called implements. Well, these are a lot of subclasses you may think. Wait, look over here. Second implement, you can pick a second subclass, and then you will pick implement adapt to make one of your implements even stronger, then second adapt to make a second one of your implements even stronger, then third implement to get a third subclass, and make a super implement out of one. So yeah, you will not only have 3 subclasses, but you also will have one that is super like busted, and you will have one that is really strong. So yeah, that's how it works. Let's look what they can do. Amulets, as you can see what they can be. And you know, with amulet, so yeah, target of your exploit vulnerability. So yeah, the aka seafood magic, we can call this as a community. You can essentially use your amulet to show your amulet to give your ally an resistance to the damage by using your action. That's pretty much like a champion, and you can also use the boosts to even make it even better, you know. Then Bell. So yeah, if enemy is trying to harm your ally or something, then you can just go a dinga 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 ding. Now you're weak. If you're a spellcaster, then sorry. Now essentially from this sound. I vibrated your brain so hard that you became unable to think logically. And if you're strong, I vibrated all of your muscles, and now all of the steroids you had in your blood worn out, or you just essentially turned into a doofus because I did a ding a ding a ding a ding. Yeah, you can also have chalice. Okay, you can make it drink, and also remember, most of these things, as you can see over here, have 2 options. Not only you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You literally have 9 subclasses which you can pick 3 of and also boost all of them. Most of them also have 2 options to choose. Over here you can sip to give temporary hit points, aka a little shield, and drain to actually heal your ally fully. A lantern to essentially give all of the like vision boosts and stuff like that, to help against hazards and stuff like that. Mirror to be in 2 places at once, which already it can be really cool because essentially you can flank enemy solo, you know. You will still be in like 2 places at once. This one. So yeah, your enemy can hit you from 2 places at once. But you know, by that you can essentially like make it harder for your enemy to flank you and stuff like that if you place yourself, and also you can like place yourself on the other sides of the enemy. For example, there's like 1v1 battles. Everyone has like their little 1v1 battles against like their foes. Then you can just basically summon a second version of yourself behind the enemy, and then hit the enemy from behind. So yeah, to get flanking. Regalia. Implements of rulership, like this little apple like this thing that is called like apple. Like it's supposed to be called an apple, but it looks like a grenade, like a hand grenade. And as you can see, you can get like all of the charisma. You can get boosts to charisma stuff with this. You can get tomes that will essentially be a boost to all of your like intelligence and wisdom related stuff. And also your esoteric lore. You can get a wand which essentially will allow you to just will allow you to basically just have to essentially just have a decently strong cantrip. To just have like an average cantrip pretty much to fling magic at the enemy. But see, this is a reflex save against your class DC, so at the very least you don't get a multiple attack penalty from that. And you have all of the stuff like this that also upgrades it, and also we have a weapon additionally which wait, trigger enemy. So yeah, this is essentially like the attack of opportunity. You get essentially like an attack of opportunity over here. And you get even bonuses to it if you want. So yeah. You get all of this stuff in thaumaturge. What is the weakness though? What is the weakness of thaumaturge? Well, as I already said, it doesn't really have heavy armor and stuff like that, and it uses charisma as its main ability. So, if you want to have a decent strength, then you have both strength and charisma. So, essentially, you won't really be able to get. And you will be forced pretty much to take Constitution, because Constitution is really important. And then you will need to choose between like dumping your charisma or dumping your wisdom or stuff like that. You know, the stats over here are bad for thaumaturge because they don't automatically become good. You need to rearrange them. And these stats that I used are pretty much like stats for druids, except like the druid point that was like 4 over here got moved over here. So yeah, it is not the representation of what stats should be, but also not only that, but later once again you can have pretty much thaumaturge allows you to just get so much things, you know, done. Once again, you have like at level 11, I think you have general fit that you can double the weakness, you can double the like vulnerability stuff like this. You can have so much things. You have investigator at level 10 if you have charisma 16, which you will probably have because you will probably actually put points into charisma at the very start. You will get thaumaturge's investigator, which will allow you to get a lot of, which will allow you to get like double the amount of, pretty much double the amount of magic items that a normal character can attune to. Yeah, thaumaturge is still balanced. I mean, I think that thaumaturge may be like, if you're playing a ranged thaumaturge, and by ranged, yes, I literally mean just ranged thaumaturge, which has all of the, you know, starts off with the ammunition thaumaturgy probably, or has just a short bow maybe. Yeah, because from what I can see, then the best way will be probably to pick like the diverse lore at level 2nd and at first ammunition thaumaturgy, and like then shoot enemies like this with your stuff. I think that if you're playing a ranged thaumaturge, it is probably the best class if we rank classes, because in Pathfinder, your strength doesn't really come from just sheer power or something. All the classes are made to be pretty equal, you know, in terms of DPPR. And yes, I mean DPPR, not DPR, not damage per round. DPPR, damage prevented per round. Okay, you damage enemy, aka you make enemy die faster. So the enemy that dies is already dead, can't do damage to you, so you prevent damage. You tank damage for your allies. You essentially you prevent allies that have lower AC from taking more damage, you know, because with higher AC you will probably be more resistant to critical hits and more resistant to even more normal hits. So you prevent your allies from being hit if you have high AC and hit points. And also you have all of the stuff. And also, you know, healing that heals back allies and stuff like that. So DPPR with most classes is pretty much the same, you know. But thaumaturge, I think, is the pretty much like one of the best classes. Of course, I prefer Druid. Because Druid and Thaumaturge are probably the best classes. Druid is probably the best spellcaster and Thaumaturge is probably the best martial class. Because they both are very versatile. And in the end, that's the most important thing, you know? Versatility is pretty much everything. All of the feats, most of feats don't really give you static bonuses. And even if they give you static bonuses, it's usually you gain a specific status bonus only against probably undead. Or you get a specific static bonus against dragons or specific static bonus against giants or something. Usually with champion elves. Or with like one elf ancestry feat. So remember, it's all about versatility in terms of Pathfinder. Everyone will have their strengths and weaknesses, but Thaumaturge and also Druid are pretty much like, and maybe if you really stretch it, Cleric. These are only classes that can make 100% of a team and still succeed, you know? Because for that you need your tank. Because you need a person that will tank for you. You need a person that will deal damage for you. Deal damage for you in the area. Usually like your tank will also deal damage for you, but you need some AoE damage from like a wizard or something. And also you need a healing person. So they can fit all of these roles. That's why I think they're the best. So basically that was another Cargo Pants video. Signing off. Bye guys.